too many reprints can really diminish the value of a set and make it not fun to open. We've seen it with sets like Shining Fates, Pokemon Go, and even Celebrations, but now we could be seeing it with Crown Zenith with even more reprints, as we are quite well into the Scarlet and Violet era. What is coming out? What is happening? Let's get into it. All right, guys, Crown Zenith. It's been a while actually since we talked about Crown Zenith. You know, we're deep into Obsidian Flames, going into 151 territory right now. That's what everyone's kind of, going on about. However, we can't deny how great Crown Zenith was, right? It came out at the beginning of the year. There was a ton of product around. It got a really long release date, like into the next generation, basically. And there's even more coming. What is actually getting reprinted? Well, it's actually going to be the normal standard ETBs, which is really, really huge, to be fair. Like, we've had fantastic products across the board. Now, with ETBs, in my opinion, I think they're one of the best ones to get in the Crown Zenith set, to be fair. Them and the Zacian and Zamazenta boxes, I think they're fantastic. At the moment, there's just so much Crown Zenith around, like really, really is so. The ETB has been going up in price over in the US, but over here in the UK, you can still pick up the Crown Zenith ETBs for retail in most online stores and over on Amazon. So what is going to be happening with more of these hitting the market? Well, I mean, the sealed products are going to be dropping and the single cards are going to be dropping. Not like they haven't been dropping already. Is this set going to go the same way as Shining Fates? Is it going to be destroyed? Well, let's take a look at what's going on with Crown Zenith and the market. Right, let's take a look at the Crown Zenith ETB. So as you can see, it's already taken a bit of a drop with the talks of these reprints coming. So it came out and it did pretty well. It actually started to climb after release, which is actually quite interesting because the set was absolutely fantastic. And because of the long release date, they staggered all the products for a decent amount of time. I think into May, I think the last product came out, which is crazy, right? The issue we're gonna have is these ETBs are just going to drop, right? And if you missed out on them, now's a great time to pick them up, of course, because they're going to be cheaper, and that's the best time to pick up some Crown Zenith is when it's cheaper, or when anything's cheaper. Okay, now one thing I will say is it is a fantastic set still. Now you may be thinking, is it worth collecting, investing into Crown Zenith? I do believe so. I don't think it's going to be similar to, I don't think it's going to be like Shining Fates or anything like that, like Celebrations, right? Single card prices of Celebrations is pretty poor. However, the sealed product is pretty good. So if you're not going to open the packs, then I do feel like collecting it for sealed is very good, and now's a great time to pick up these ETBs. And if you are missing cards, it's cheaper to open now these packs to try and get. Don't forget, Crown Zenith has really good pull rates, but the card prices are going to be dropping. You can pick them up and add them into your collection at a much cheaper price, which I'm all here for, right? Let's go and take a look at what's been going on with the single cards, because they have been moving pretty heavily. But before we do that, over here in the UK, you can pick these up still for around £50, give or take. Some places might even cheaper. A couple of places on eBay might get it for a couple of pounds cheaper. Over here, there is still a lot of it around, and just a lot of Crown Zenith in general. So yeah, let's take a look at the single cards. Right, let's talk about Giratina VSTAR. This card has been dropping quite a bit since its release, to be honest. It's been going up and up to begin with, and then it just been going down since. And as we can see on eBay, this card is $80. TCG Play, you're looking at 83. Car market is a little bit more. I mean, I can see, I've seen it over here in the UK, it being sold for a lot cheaper. I've been seeing some people sell it for 60 to 65 pounds. Obviously, it all depends on the condition, but as a rule, this card has been dropping like crazy. I mean, even in a PSA 10, this card has dropped absolutely like incredible amounts. I mean, you can see the green line. The green line is the PSA 10. We're going at in March over $400 to now being $172. It's really strange. Like, the PSA 10 is now getting towards what the raw price was back in March. So that's actually pretty interesting. Is it worth grading? I still think it is worth grading. There clearly is quite a lot of them. The pull rates are good, and that's also a downside. That's going to make the cards not worthless, but worth less. And it being reprinted is not going to help either. Onto the gold Arceus. This one's held pretty well, compared to some of the other golds. Like, pretty much every card in this set has dropped in value. But the Arceus is actually holding a little bit more steady compared to Palkia and Dialga, which we'll get to in a moment. But $58 on eBay, $65 on TCG Play, and $70 on card market. $135 PSA 10. It's actually got a decent PSA 10 price. It has dropped, as you can see. It was above 300 back in March. But to be honest, it's actually doing pretty well. Like, Giratina obviously was the big one, and its price was a lot, more a lot more higher and bigger difference. However, the graded version of this isn't too bad, and like I say, compared to the others, you know, it is actually, you know, pretty good. Tough to pull, actually. You know, we actually struggled to pull this. I think this is the least popular one that we've pulled. We haven't got so much Crown Zenith, but still pretty good. Okay, on to the Mewtwo VSTAR. I do have this one in my collection. Don't have the others, but I do have this one. And again, we're looking at the same situation, guys. You have $56 on eBay, $51 on TCG Player, and $87 on Card Market, with a PSA 10 of 133. So PSA 10 is pretty decent. I mean, you could pick this up over here in the UK for about £50, you know, 50, 55. PSA 10 though, you know, went from 400. It's dropped quite a bit. You know, from that 400 to 133 is quite high. And I do expect it to continue to drop because, like I say, if there's going to be more product, more packs being opened, then the single card prices are going to continue to drop, and we're going to see that. We're really going to see that. And like I say, it's not going to be worthless, but they are just going to be worth less, and we're going to see that across the board with the whole set, you know. And it is an easy set to some extent to complete, you know, whether or not you want to buy the cards or try and pull them in packs. It isn't that difficult. On to the Palkia. This is one of the cheaper ones, you know, compared to some of the others we've already seen already. eBay 38, TCG Player 37. Card Market still pushing quite high at 54. Over here, you're probably looking around 30 to 35. 102 in a PSA 10. That's actually not bad. It's nearly like 3 times the value of the raw price, which is actually pretty decent. And it hasn't dropped anywhere near as crazy as some of the others. You know, we're looking at from 220, whereas, you know, some of the others was from 300 or 400. So this is actually doing, you know, reasonably well as a graded card compared to, you know, just raw, and compared to some of the other ones we've just really went through. But this is still a beautiful card, you know, absolutely amazing. And this set does have a few cards that do hold a decent amount of value, like this Palkia. And then we have the Origin Forme Dialga. Now again, this one is quite interesting. You know, this one is, you know, dropping as well, similar to the Palkia. They're both kind of the same compared to the Arceus and the Giratina. 35 on eBay, 36 on TCG Player, and 56 on Card Market. Again, you can get this for probably about 35 or so over here in the UK. We're looking around, it was 260, 280, has been dropping in that PSA 10 price. It's following suit of all the rest. And look at its PSA 10 price, under $100. Not great, you know, compared to some of them. It's not great at all. This is actually my least favorite one out of all of them anyway, in just the way the card looks. But still, it is a card holding above $30, which isn't that bad. We have the Elesa Sparkle. Now, this is in the main set compared to the Glaring Gallery. This is actually done pretty well. You know, this is actually done pretty well. $25 on eBay, 24 on TCG Player, and 29 on Card Market. And the PSA 10 we're looking at 86. And this actually hasn't been doing that bad, right? And as you can see, over the past, you know, 6 months, this card's been tracking around 28. Did take a dip to be around 22, 23, and it's starting to uptick just a little bit and selling around that 25, 26 mark. So this is actually a card which is actually hold pretty steady, whereas all the others have been dropping. Like I said, this is in the main set. This isn't in the Glaring Gallery. Not that easy to pull, but it's holding pretty well. And the PSA 10 price isn't too bad, you know, compared to the raw prices, but still not the best. Leafeon VSTAR, one of my favorite cards in the set, doing okay. Not great graded though. 21 raw, 22 on TCG Player, and 34 on Card Market. Still quite a bit on Card Market. I mean, over here you get this, what, maybe 20, 25, and you know, 66 of PSA 10 is tough. That is not very good at all, especially if you can see on the graph, guys. It was around 120, so it's only dropped 50% in the graded price since March. Is pretty scary stuff. Overall, this is another card that has been dropping, you know, not crazy amounts compared to the others, but just been slowly but surely, month by month, going down in price. So that is the downside of this Leafeon, but nonetheless, it is a beautiful card. Then we have the Giratina VSTAR. This is probably my favorite card of the set. I absolutely love this card. 19 on eBay, 20 on TCG Player, 31 on Card Market. Just under $60 in a PSA 10. Again, was $130 back in the beginning of March in a PSA 10, has been dropping since, and we've seen it across the board. You know, it's kind of like, it's come to expect the card prices to drop. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to tick back up. You know, with, you'd think it would start sooner rather than later, but they're now reprinting even more product, so I'm not too sure. I think these cards yet have not seen the bottom, and I think they'll get there pretty quick. Next up, we have the Iridar. Now, I actually thought this was going to be a lot more expensive than it ended up being, as because, you know, from the Japanese set, waifus, you know, the drill, guys. Usually they tend to hold good value. They tend to be quite high value. $17 on eBay, 16 on TCG Player, and 17 on Card Market. This is proof that the waifu cards don't tend to do very well when they come over in English. They don't, right? We've seen like the Ono do pretty well, Miriam okay, but to be honest, you know, this era didn't do very well at all. And you know, the Pokemon kind of pushed through and, you know, reached that top spot, you know, for the most expensive cards. But you know, this isn't the greatest. You know, PSA 10 under $50 is rough. You know, it really is rough. So, you know, especially it came from 110 about 5-6 months ago. So especially came from PSA 10 from March, it is pretty tough. Let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts on more reprints of Crown Zenith? Now, I don't have a master set. I was trying to get a master set. Might go for it. The thing is, we're deep into Scarlet and Violet. Right now, I know the sets in Scarlet and Violet haven't been the strongest coming out of the gate. You know, Crown Zenith was so good, then we're kind of spoiled that when we came into Scarlet and Violet base, Palkia Evolved, Obsidian Flames, all three of them didn't really live up to how good Crown Zenith was. 151 on the other hand might do. We'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, Crown Zenith is the best set that got released this year. However, with all of these reprints, you know, all of these stock here in the shelves, I mean, we just had a collection box come out. This set is getting printed into the absolute ground, you know, and some of these cards are holding stronger than I anticipated. You know, we've seen with other sets that have been printed into the ground, they don't hold anywhere near as much value. They just drop, sometimes even to single digits in value. But however, with Crown Zenith, there's a decent amount of cards that are above $10. And they do hold pretty well. You know, some are even above $30, some above $50. Giratina and you know, the Arceus are nearly, you know, kind of just short of that $100, $80 or $100 range. Still doing really well. But booster packs are going to be more cheaper and more readily available because of the ETBs. But we'll have to wait and see if they're going to do any more. Hopefully, this is going to be the final one. But if you are missing any ETBs, now is the time to pick them up whilst they're, well, I say cheap, but easily available. And we're going to see how the market goes with Crown Zenith moving forward, if they're going to continue to reprint any more product for the set. But if you made it this far in the video, guys, and you enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button, make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content, and let me know down in the comments, like I say, what are your thoughts on all these reprints, especially for Crown Zenith. Do you think it needs any more? Do you think we could do with something else? Evolvers, guys, you know, we have to wait and see. But if you want to know what the biggest market movers are in the singles market, then make sure to click on this video right here. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, you know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, guys, that's it from me in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends. I'll see you in the next one.